Okay, hello, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to have this quick little 15-minute talk with you about stress in healthcare professionals and workers, and really just in general stress in your workplace. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Kim. I am a pharmacist of almost 18 years, so I feel like I have, a pretty well-rounded experience to talk about how this is and just basically just the changes we've seen in our healthcare and the stress that has precipitated from the changes in the healthcare. I'm a mom of three boys. I live on a ranch here in beautiful Kamloops with my wonderful husband, Harley. So you can imagine I know what it means to understand to juggle a lot. Over the years, I've become really passionate about helping women and also women who are healthcare professionals in their 30s to 40s manage stress naturally without medications. So healthcare workers and professionals like myself and you, we carry so much responsibility. Not only are you taking care of patients, clients, communities, but you also have your personal life because most of us are moms, most of us are women, and families to care for. So it's no wonder that stress and burnout are so common in our professions because we are the jugglers. We are juggling so much. And today I really want to talk to you a little bit about what that could look like showing up in your work, showing up in your personal life. And I want to give you actionable tools to help recognize, manage, and reduce stress so you can really show up as your best self. Which we all want to do. So I'm really going to focus on recognizing stress early because I have a personal story is that for many years, and I'm going to talk to you in this just in a little bit, I did not even recognize that a lot of the symptoms that I was experiencing were actually caused from stress, simply because it was never brought up to me. It was never asked about the stress in my life or what was going on. Like I saw many healthcare professionals, and I'll talk with you a little bit about that, but balancing work and life, preventing burnout, which is kind of like the end result of chronic stress, and really staying healthy through these tough times, which is like cold and flu season and just the busy holiday season. Okay. I'm going to share a few lifestyle tweaks and natural supplements that can help lower your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, so you can really feel more grounded. Okay. Sound good? Also, I did have notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what it is. I don't know this off by heart, okay? So first one is just recognizing our signs of stress. So I wanted to kind of just start with a question. So what are some of the first signs you notice when you're stressed? Maybe it's a little bit of irritability. Maybe it's a little bit of anxiousness. Maybe it's a little bit of like indecisiveness, difficulty concentrating. Could be that you just shut down and you do nothing, you kind of freeze. Maybe your sleep starts to get disrupted later on. Maybe your patient wears thin, or maybe you feel like you're constantly running on empty. Stress can show up in so many different ways. So, physical symptoms, these are things like headaches, muscle tension, fatigue, or chronic, or even changes in your appetite. Emotional symptoms that you have, such as irritability, overwhelm, or even feeling detached from your work. Okay. Now, feeling detached from your work. I want to just talk about that for a quick second. Like, how many of us have felt like we got into healthcare to have this massive impact and create this massive impact, and then over the years, as more has been kind of like poured onto us, responsibilities have gotten higher with like less time, less like tools, less resources. You feel kind of like you're not really like, sure why you're showing up there anymore. And maybe that even causes a little bit of guilt. Maybe even that causes a little bit of like, feeling like you're not fulfilling your career like you definitely think you could, right? Um, that's what I mean. Like that's stress. Like that's not necessarily you feeling like, why did I ever become this pharmacist or a nurse or physiotherapist, whatever it could be. Like the stress is wearing on you that you're just kind of like, you're detaching from it. And for very good reasons, because you don't want to feel like that. Other things like cognitive effects, this is like brain fog or even difficulty concentrating. Like who has ever felt that before? And let's not forget symptoms in your gut, okay? Because that's like a primary thing as well. Here, I'm just gonna see if I can change my gallery settings. I don't know how to do that. So things like uneasy stomachs, bloating, changes in digestion that seem to flare up when life gets hectic. And this for people can go either way. Like sometimes you can feel like you have bloating. Sometimes you can feel like you have constipation. Sometimes this can even be diarrhea. And that's all signs of stress that your gut is telling you. So this is really the first step. Why? Because when you're aware of that you actually have stress, you can actually start to address this before it snowballs and becomes something bigger like burnout or chronic health issues. So here's like just a quick story. So I remember a time when I actually ignored my own stress signals. So this sounds like most women, you're powering through long days at work, you come home, you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to push through it, and you don't even recognize what's happening. And this could literally go on for years. I just recently talked to a woman, a friend of mine who's a nurse, who became one of my clients, who was talking just about this, about how she's been pushing through for years and her body has literally start to shut down. She's developed some like autoimmune things that actually she's got a very great physician who has said this has come from a chronic overload of stress. So a healthcare professional, a mom, juggling all the things, doing all of it. And basically, this was me too. My body started sending me messages. So, tension headaches, disrupted sleep, irritability, anger, like trouble sleeping, waking up early in the morning. But I just brushed it off. Like, I was like, oh, it's just my gut health, or maybe I'm just extra tired. But it doesn't matter how much sleep you get, you're never going to feel like you're caught up. Okay. Because there was a lot of times where I would literally just lay down and it would literally feel like I just laid down. Like, you don't feel like you have sleep. Like it would just be like, oh, I feel like I just laid down, but literally I had been sleeping for 8 hours. That's not okay. So something has to change. So if you've ever had a moment like that, I want you to know, first of all, it's okay. We all have, but the good news is you can have small shifts, which can make a big difference once you start to recognize what's happening. Okay. So I have my dream tea in here with my intercom that I take every single night. So let's just have a little pause. So section 2 here is just managing work and life balance, which is huge for us as busy moms because I feel like there's so much going on. So now that we have recognized and talking about stress, let's move on and figuring out how we can manage it. Okay. So balancing work and life can sometimes really feel impossible, especially if a high stress job. But here's the key. It's called prioritization and boundaries. So one thing I've learned is that you have to really start by asking yourself, what are your non-negotiables? So these are things that matter the most, whether it's quality time with your family, exercising, which for me always gets down at the bottom, or simply having, a little bit of quiet time each day. You things you can use is like time blocking. This carves out space for these priorities. So actually scheduling them. For example, you could dedicate 15 minutes of your morning, which is something that I try really hard to do with my morning routine, to kind of like have that quiet time, have my greens, do a little bit of like, I don't maybe necessarily journal, but I definitely stay off my phone for at least 35 minutes first thing in the morning and just kind of like taking that time. It's my greens. Sometimes it's a cup of coffee. Having a cup of coffee is not bad, by the way. It's chronic use that affects it, but just having that little bit of time to kind of wake up. And one thing I have been telling a lot of my clients to do is try and get outside within the first 30 minutes, even if it's like standing close to a window, if you can. Like I go outside and I feed my sheep first thing in the morning. And it's more than just feeding my sheep. It's actually just giving me that little bit of wake up. It's giving my eyes the light, first morning light, which is helping with my circadian rhythm, which helps lower your cortisol levels because it's help adjusting you to the daytime, but it also just gives that little bit of quiet time. So that's the first thing. No phone for like 30 minutes, giving yourself a little bit of time. Practicing no. I know that's sometimes really hard for women, but you can't say yes to everything because then you get spread too thin. And that's where a lot of us fall into these caveats of like juggling and just doing too much, right? It's okay because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And that no could be your quiet time, your prioritizing time, the time that you need to de-stress, right? Things like saying, I'd love to help, but I just don't have the bandwidth right now, something like that. Like most people do understand that we live such busy lives and that there just needs to be a time where you just kind of need to say no. So maybe that's like a Christmas gathering for something, or, another I'm going to say a kid's birthday party, but yeah, sometimes you do need that too, right? Another tip is in mindfulness. So it doesn't really have to be meditation because I know if you're somebody who is experiencing high stress, meditation is going to be very difficult because it requires you to sit and relax and let your mind wander. However, it is really beneficial. And if you want to undergo meditation, there's a few apps I can recommend. And the easiest way to do that is to start really small. So I'm talking like 2 minutes, because if you are someone who is really restless and can't relax and you're always in a hyper productive mode, you don't feel like you don't feel okay with yourself unless you're always doing something. Like I made a joke the other day that like once I'm finished my chores, the way that I like to relax after my chores is I like to sit down and do more chores because basically I'm like always doing something. Yeah. Like I do all my stuff, I do everything, and then I sit down and I do more stuff. That's not relaxing, right? That's actually you're in a hyper productive mode because you feel like you always have to be doing something. So taking that quick moment to sit and relax, like with meditation, would be really difficult. So 2 minute meditation is good. Mindfulness, that's actually even just taking a few deep breaths. But the one way that I really like to do this is by switching my scrolling for steps. So I started doing this about a year ago, and I've created a lap system around I work in like a shopping mall outside. So I spend 15 minutes and I do about 3 laps around my mall. Yeah, I'm like a mall walker. And that's when at times I do like sometimes I do some Insta stories, I see some like fun stuff happening out there. I'm on the North Shore of Kamloops, whatever. But it gets me out and it gets you energized and it gives you that break that you're needing before you go back into like whatever disaster is awaiting you. If you're in a hospital, if you're in if you're in the hospital, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, over functioning women. That's exactly just what this is. But this is actually a societal problem too, but we're not going to maybe really get into that. But it's because if you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not doing anything. But the problem is then that's what leads to you feeling like you're burnout. And then if you're in a very high kind of like masculine energy job, as a lot of healthcare professional women are, you're delegated with making a lot of tasks, you're delegated with making a lot of decisions. You come home and you start feeling like you're in that role too, like doing the chores, doing the tasks, delegating, doing all this stuff. So what you honestly need to do is like chill, relax, and kind of tap into a more femininity type of like role. So that's something that's just like ease and flow and something that's very like something that kind of like brings you joy. And for me, that actually started was baking bread. So I started baking bread at the end of August, and now I make 5 loaves a week. And it's something that it's just that I do for me, and it's allowed me to just be able to like have a task that has nothing else assigned to it. Yes, I make bread for my family, but it's just something that's fun and that I enjoy, and it's not something that I have to like give for. Like it's something that's just for me. And like one thing I have a question with a client just recently who was also a pharmacist. She was telling me all these different things, and I said, like, when's the last time you just sat down and like read a book? Like, when's the last time you just like sat down and relaxed and like read a book, because she's very, very similar. It's just very similar coming and going and all the time. So you have to just remember you're not a machine. You need to give yourself grace and space, and having those things like giving yourself that space is actually essential for sustainability, because otherwise you're going to get to the burnout phase. So what is burnout? Okay. So I want to address this because burnout is actually really a state where you're so depleted that even rest doesn't feel restorative. And that's exactly what I was experiencing about August. Now, maybe does that resonate with anyone here? Like you're just so you're going for so long, it doesn't even matter if you have a nap or you feel. So burnout starts with chronic stress. So when your cortisol levels stay so high for so long, your body and mind will start to pay the price. So the key to this is all these tasks that I've been talking about, preventing it, so recognizing stress, trying to prevent it, and also finding ways to regularly recharge, even sure these busy seasons. So here's a couple strategies. One is take regular breaks. So like I said, a lot of us can't do 5-minute walks now and then, but you can most definitely use your lunch break to go outside and get a recharge. Like it's going to be -30 here, and I'm just going to put on 2 mitts and go. Like I'm not going to sit inside. That helps reset your stress response, the thing in the morning. No phone at night is another thing that's in my stress reboot that I have. No phone at night for 30 minutes. And then also reconnecting with your why. Now, why did you choose this career? Like, and I know for a lot of us that can be really hard if you're in this challenging time of feeling maybe a little bit of resentment towards it, but really try and reconnect with that. And honestly, the biggest thing that has helped me reconnect with this, it may sound cheesy, is actually my Arbonne business, doing these things like this, educating and empowering other women, educating other women on stress, helping other healthcare professionals through stress has actually helped me become more giving with my actual professional career, which you think it would be the other way around, but it's actually reignited another spark because now it's like I have another purpose. And when I talk to people and they're like, oh, you're a pharmacist, and I'm like, yes, but I actually really help women with stress. I help women with chronic stress who are in their 30s to 40s, and I help them manage it naturally without medications. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I really love doing. And then I can have the complement of the pharmacy experience with that. But it's really just kind of like help me motivate it. But if you don't have that, you can just really tap into it. And I know it might be hard, but keeping that purpose in front and center can help reignite your motivation. So lean on support systems. So there's colleagues, family, or friends. Don't hesitate to ask when you're struggling. Sometimes, just talking about it can lighten your load, even the mental one that you have ongoing in your head all the time. And really don't wait until you're completely burned out to make changes. So proactive self-care is really your best defense. And that can be things like we talked about the journaling. It can be a wonderful like skincare routine. It can be like lighting a candle at night. Like you just have to detach from the stress that's happening there and try to pour into yourself. Okay. So how we can stay healthy through the hard season. So even during tough times. So a couple little key things is obviously nutrition. So stress will deplete key nutrients like magnesium and B vitamins. So you want to focus on whole nutrient dense foods, lots of leafy greens and proteins and healthy fats, avoid sugar, because when you are stressed, you are going to be more likely to want to eat processed foods and sugar. And all that's going to do is spike your cortisol. So protein, B vitamins, which I love that are in our Energy Fizz ginseng. So like I said, I now consider these a supplement that women need to take daily to help with stress, not just when you're having that afternoon crash to help prevent that afternoon crash. So B vitamins, which I get in our Energy Fizz, sleep 7 to 8 hours. Like I can definitely say that was something that I was struggling with, was going to bed too late here recently, but try creating a bedtime routine, dim your lights, no screens for 3 hours. And I use the Intercom, which is our ashwagandha and L-theanine. And then also I take 500 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. Now, a lot of things about creating these routines is I want to say what this is actually also doing is helping like prepping your brain for the next step. So when you have these routines in place, like your morning routine, your bedtime routine, it's kind of like signals to your body saying, okay, now it's time to chill out. Now it's time to relax. So as much as the supplements are helping your body, like, adapt, the adaptogens in here are helping your body, relax. What this also is doing is priming your body for the next step. So it's priming your mind for saying, it's time to relax. It's bedtime. Okay, it's turning your phone off. It's time to relax. Like, you know how you do bedtime routines with kids and babies? Because you're prepping them for the next step. You're prepping them for sleep. You need to do that for yourself too. So if you're like, going right up until the end, and you're sending those emails and you're checking that phone and you're posting those reels, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now it's time to go to sleep. Chances are it's not going to happen. So you need to like prep yourself in that way. And that's like what these routines are for. They're signals to your brain. And that's why I love the Intercom so much, is because just the experience of making it, like the smell that it creates, the way it tastes, that all kind of like is like, okay, it's bedtime, it's chill time. Turn off your phone now. It's time to relax and like get ready. And then that also is getting your body into that like calm state, which is helping with your cortisol. Okay. Movement Exercise is really great. Walking should not be underrated, and even 10 minutes a day is a great place to start. So supplements. So these are not lifestyle changes, but these can be a really great helpful addition. So magnesium, we just talked about, glycinate specifically, great for relaxing your body and mind. Adaptogens, so ashwagandha, which is in my inner calm that I love, and rhodiola help are actually have data to help reduce cortisol levels. So you can Google all of that, but there's scientific data that supports all that. Omega 3s, which help with brain health and inflammation, and then of course working on your gut health with pre and probiotics. And I love the Green Synergy Elixir from Arbonne, of course, which is one of my favorites here. So this goal is really just to create a foundation of health so that your body is better equipped to handle stress. So you're never going to, like, the goal here is not to be like eliminate all stress in your life. That is not possible. The goal is to have stress resilience so you're able to handle it better. So if something is thrown at you, you're like, your body, your mind handles it. You can still then go to sleep. You stick to your things. You don't be like, screw it. Like, I had a stressful day. I'm just going to throw my whole routine out the window, right? Like, we don't want to do that because it's so easy to. It's so easy to throw all of that to the wayside. But when you get into these routines and have these supplements to support you, the goal is to be able to like have that stress resilience so you can stay on track, right? And so that is just really what I had for you tonight. So as we wrap up, I really want to leave you with this quick thought so that, as I know this is really tough for us women, you don't have to do it all. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, okay? It's essential. And when you prioritize your own well-being, you can show up more fully for everyone else in your life. So if there's anything that you had from today's session, maybe it's one small piece of value, recognizing stress signals, setting a boundary, or eating, or even adding a supplement to your routine. I know a lot of people have just even started with the inner calm. I want you to know that small changes can add up to really big results over time. So that's all for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If you have any questions or thoughts, please share them with me. And with that, I will stop the recording.